What is happening, boys and girls? Jim here, R.C.A.D. Today is April 13th, 2024, and we are going to be going back in time on this video all the way back to November 6th, 2020, and revisit the old Tamiya Hornet and a little bit of destruction. And then we'll talk about where will we be going next with the old Tamiya Hornet and what we got lined up for this vehicle in the future here. Probably nothing anytime soon because we've got a whole bunch of other stuff, other projects that are kind of in front of this thing. So, unless I win the lottery and get a whole bunch of money, we'll be taking these steps rather slowly. So, old school Tamiya Hornet doing some VXL 3S brushless combo testing with the vehicle, and we destroyed our gearbox a couple of times. The first time we destroyed our gearbox, it was the outer housing. We broke the outer housing, broke the right horn off the back of the gearbox, the right leg that comes off the back of the gearbox. We broke that right off of there. And we ordered a whole new housing for it, put our gears back in it, we got everything reassembled, and then let's check out what happened to it next. November 6th, 2020, about 70 degrees out here in northern Michigan. We've got the VXL system pulled out of the old sledgehammer and reinstalled back into the Hornet. The sledgehammer is repaired. Sitting back on the shelf. We've got a new gearbox on the Hornet. Reversed the wheelie bar, flipped it upside down. Took another set of those Lamborghini tires off that plastic Lamborghini and installed them onto the wheelie bar. Hopefully it'll keep our front end down. Brand new set of Proline at 2.0, 2.2 Sandpaw tires. Now we are keyed on and ready to go. Hopefully that wheelie bar keeps this thing on the ground a little bit better. And it's just spinning the tires right now. Right, let's see how she does on one. Definitely getting some traction out here, that is for sure. Probably some dog poop out here. Fast Hornet. 18 tooth pinion gear with this 3500 kV motor. That was lucky. Just missed the telephone pole and a bush there. That wheelie bar is definitely keeping it on the ground. That's awesome. Just doing that. That's wide open. Woo! Bounced it off that tree sideways. Got lucky again. I got to move. Yeah, we're still good. We're still in one piece. See if we can get a nice fast run coming back this way. Cooking on that one. Erosion control. Oh, I bent the wheelie bar too. Rudius Maximus. Whew, wicked. Our body's standing up. Oh, I think we got some gear damage. Oh, it's locked up. Gearbox is locked up. Oh, that's no good. Alright, well, I have to take it apart and see what's wrong with it. Just split the Hornet differential after a little incident there. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Got our little differential star gears here, scattered all over the place. Our main differential gear is split.
Broke a big chunk out of that. And our little star gear pin sitting off to the side. Another star gear. This is where everything was laying at as I pulled it apart. Wondering why it was locked up? Well, that's why it was locked up. Got the counter gear. Seems to be in good shape right there. Yeah, a little chewed up. Looks like all the teeth are intact though. Bevel gears on the side, a little roughed up here around the edges. That one's okay. And that one appears to be okay as well. So we need to get a new differential gear for this. Whoops.
All right, well, you guys and gals have seen it. We completely destroyed our differential. Just blew that thing to pieces. So I had to do some gear shopping for this vehicle. Now, unfortunately, I don't know why or what the deal is with Tamiya and putting out parts for the Hornets and lunchboxes and any other vehicle that uses this style rear axle slash transmission, because it's a motor on axle transmission. Not too sure why these guys are so lax with putting out their vehicles or putting out parts for these vehicles. They still make these vehicles today, so it's not like it's a collector's item. And that's something that's disappointing as well, because for a long time there, Tamiya stopped making the Hornets and the Frogs and a select group of other vehicles, and then they started reproducing them again, which basically took away the value on the other stuff. So this is an original Tamiya Hornet from way, way back in the day. A friend of mine owned this vehicle. And I've owned several Hornets throughout my lifetime. I've been driving RC cars since 1979, essentially driving and fixing RC cars. I've just turned 50 years old, so I mean that's a long time. I mean, not to date myself here, but that's a long time messing with RC cars. I've owned several Hornets throughout the years. I'm not too sure if I owned this one at one particular time or not. But my buddy, just before I moved up here, his basement flooded out in his house in a crawl space area, and he found this vehicle in the crawl space, and just decided to donate it to my channel hours before I moved up here. So yeah, just reacquired the car. Once again, not too sure if I owned it before or not, but we've been doing some hardcore testing with it ever since then. It's an original Hornet. It should have collector value, but since Tamiya still makes them, it basically throws that collector value right out the window. So it kind of makes this car almost or essentially worthless. It's not worth any more than the initial sticker price on it, which varies depending on where you go. All right, so talking about parts, Tamiya's been, they've had this car out for a long time, and the parts seem to be few and far between. I'm able to find chassis parts and A-arms and blister packs, but trying to find rear gears or differential gears for this vehicle seems to be pretty few and far between, which is very frustrating. So we blew out the differential in it, as you can see. I shopped all over the place trying to find a new set of gears for this thing, and I just couldn't find them at the time back in November 2020. It was, I just couldn't find them anywhere online. And then recently here, within the last couple of months, I did find a set out of the UK, which we have right here sitting off to the side. Not being sponsored by anybody. rcpieces.co.uk. And they had a set of aluminum gears for the Hornet or Lunchbox. Stock gearing size. But losing our rear differential in favor of a locker. Maybe not necessarily in favor of a locker. But that's what we got. So we've got a 6061 aluminum counter gear with bearings. Hey, they included bearings. That was nice. And our rear differential here, which is no longer a differential. It's just a locked up rear ring gear, essentially. And they also include a pinion gear. So we're going to continue our testing with this vehicle some point in time here in the future. Need to get a GPS, a small GPS unit. I think it's like one of those passport units that they sell. Not being sponsored once again, but just a small little GPS device that we can put in here and see how fast we can get this thing going. Limited choice on our gearing with this vehicle. A 17 tooth is a magic pinion gear for most applications on a Hornet or a Lunchbox. But in our case, we're going to probably want to step it up to the highest gear that we can possibly fit in here. which once again is kind of limited. I think we can probably get a 23 tooth in here, maybe at the most. And then after that, it's just going to be tire size as far as getting speed out of the vehicle. So I want to continue speed testing with the vehicle once again, and then maybe turn into a sand toy, put paddles back on it. I'm not too sure. That VXL motor, we've been bouncing around from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle since 2016. I've been bouncing this one VXL 3S brushless combo around. It's currently sitting in my Vatera K10 Ascender, which is up against the wall over yonder here. Excuse me, camera and tripod. That yellow K10 Ascender right there. It has a set of Traxxas portal axles on there. Off of the TRX4 Bronco, all the way around. And my VXL brushless combo in there. So that's another project that we're currently working on here. Yes, we got a whole wall of cars down there. Excuse the camera and the sideways view. I'm holding my tripod. But a whole wall of cars down there for all the newcomers. And a lot of other projects in front of our old Tamiya Hornet here. So we will be continuing our testing on this vehicle once again. And we just wanted to cover the bases on that and do our little flashback in time here on the vehicle. Eventually we might even put the stock tires and wheels back on it. On the front for the newcomers, we've got a set of Tamiya lunchbox wheel spindles or wheel hubs on the front because they're a little bit longer and we can fit the fatter tires on there. Now that was an old trick that the hobbyists have been doing since way back in the day. I know I did that mod before Tamiya came up with the Mad Bull Hornet. When the lunchbox first came out, the day that I was assembling my lunchbox, which I carried home on the handlebars of my BMX bike from the local hobby store when I was a little kid. When I assembled that vehicle, I took the wheel spindles off the first day when I noticed that they were identical to the Hornet wheel spindles, except longer. And I put them on my Hornet and had fat tires on my Hornet that day, which was far, far, far before Tamiya came out with the Mad Bull. But nevertheless, Tamiya lunchbox front wheel spindles on here. That way we can accommodate these larger tires. This is a brand new set of spindles on here. And we've got wheel bearings all the way around on the vehicle as well, just to aid in our speed travel. Tires. I want to talk about tires here briefly before we close out our video on our old Hornet here. We are running a set of old school vintage Tamiya Monster Beetle wheels, #1, boys and girls. Those are original Monster Beetle wheels from way back in the day. So, yes, the gold is fading. You can see the yellow down below, the yellow plating below it, or yellow color below the gold plating. But those are original lunchbox, or not lunchbox, but Monster Beetle wheels from way back in the day. Talk about the tires. We've got a brand new set of Proline 2.0, 2.2 sandpaws on here right now. These babies, well, they were brand new. Well, the last time I had the car out, so November 6th, 2020, these guys were brand new. Still in pretty good shape. They're not tearing at all. We've got a lot of dust on them. But I want to talk about tire compound here on our old Proline tires. The front tires, these are Proline Razorbacks from way back in the day. Back in the late 80s, early 90s maybe, when the Proline Razorbacks first came out. And the Proline 2.0, 2.2 sandpaws first came out. We've got an original set of sandpaws right here. Not the very first set, but when they first produced this style tire, and it showed up at our hobby store when we were kids, we picked them up. And this is the original set that we've had since way back in the day, since they were originally released. I'm not too sure what year that was either. I want to say mid-80s, late 80s, late 80s, early 90s at the latest. But this is an original set. All right, so we've got several 2.0, 2.2 sandpaws here. I've ordered or bought the set a few years ago as well. I had these on my TRX4 Bronco. And I've been bouncing these tires around from vehicle to vehicle. And they didn't last very long before we started getting this peeling around all of our paddles. They're all kind of just ripping off of here on these tires. Some are worse than others. But they're all cracking and peeling for the most part. And I mean, it's a relatively new tire. You can tell this by how much tread is on them. I mean, really, there's really no wear on them here, right? And looking at our originals, I mean, let's talk about tire compound. These are the originals from way back in the day. No kind of tire conditioners on there. Probably still have dirt on them from the late 80s, early 90s. And look how supple these tires are and flexible these tires are. These guys are like plastic, like a plasticky rubbery consistency. You know, they want to buckle, push on them. Just snap. And these guys, once again, original compound from way back in the day. Just respond differently. Yeah, they are worn down, but I mean, that compound is like 30 years old. And they're holding up better than these guys, which are probably from 2019, maybe 2020. So, yeah, just a mental note there. And those old school Pro Line tires versus the newer style 2.2 Sandpaws. And eventually we'll probably get our stock tires put back on at some point in time. And stock wheels. Checking out our truck once again, our Hornet once again. Did I cover the gears on this thing and how you can't find those gears anywhere? I can't remember if I talked about that or not. I had a very difficult time trying to find the gears for this thing and ended up going with these metal ones once again out of the UK, RC Pieces.co.uk, 6061 aluminum, locked up rear differential, and a counter gear. Not too sure how that's going to be for speed testing, but we'll find out. Yeah, so I was able to find a chassis. I bought a brand new chassis for the vehicle just in case something goes sideways with it. We've got a brand new chassis sitting here, as well as A-arms and whatnot for the vehicle. So, which also comes with body mounts and other such things on this little blister pack. So, was able to find that stuff. Just unable to find gears. I do have an old school Midnight Pumpkin sitting up here, original vintage Midnight Pumpkin up there on the top shelf. I could have stolen the rear end off of that and put it in here. But other than having tires and wheels and a body, that truck is pretty much complete. So I didn't really want to mess with that too much. The body is on my Blizzard right there in front of us, our Kyosho Blizzard, aka the Midnight Blizzard, which looks pretty cool. And probably won't be coming out there anytime soon. We've got a brand new lunchbox up there. Current year lunchbox. That's not very old, maybe a year or two old. And the wheels off the Hornet or the wheels off the, off the Sledgehammer. Or not Sledgehammer, but Midnight Pumpkin are down there on the Sledgehammer. Way down there on the shelf. You can see our tires and wheels right there. So just need a body and get our tires and wheels back, and that lunchbox or Midnight Pumpkin is runnable. I keep saying lunchbox, but they're all basically the same thing, just a different body. All right, so once again, there we go. There's a quick look at our Tamiya Hornet, our flashback in time, checking things out on this vehicle, where she's going to be going from here. Here's a look at our spoiler, which is completely ripped off and no hopes of being repaired anytime soon. Lots of bends and creases and whatnot on the edges, and but the rest of the car looks pretty good. I kind of like it without the body on there, or without that spoiler on there. It kind of reminds me of an Optima, the way it looks. It's kind of very Kyosho Optima looking, which is cool. Very cool looking buggy. Yeah, I definitely like it better without the spoiler on the back, I think. Anyways, we're going to resume speed testing with this vehicle at some point in time, boys and girls. I'll get a set of belted tires for the back, and we'll do some speed testing with it, see what kind of numbers we can get out of it, just for craps and giggles, just to conclude our VXL testing. And then maybe we'll turn into a sand drag vehicle or something along those lines. Who knows what we'll do with it. Once again, we've got a lot of other projects ahead of this vehicle, so it might be a little while before we get back to it. But I just wanted to touch base on things, boys and girls, and show you what happened to the vehicle, and with our gearbox and all that good nonsense, and what direction we'll be going with it in the future. All right, so that is going to do it. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video. Questions and comments are always welcome, as always, and we will see you all on the next one. Thanks again.